That takes us over to the X Division, where after 5 months, we finally gotten ourselves back to a Styles Daniels Joe rematch.
I didn't even know that they went back to this well so quickly.
Yeah, they do 2 more matches in 2006. 2 more televised matches, anyway. They do another next month. They're not as good as the first, or even the Turning Point 2009 match. I think both those matches stand head and shoulders above the 2006 matches, but you'll never turn your nose up at a Styles Daniels Joe match. Like, if you look at the pay-per-view lineup and you're like, Styles Daniels Joe, you're like, you know what, fair enough, okay.
It does sort of speak to a certain unwillingness or non-ability to elevate anyone else in the X Division right now.
It's actually funny, when you watch the four-way on the pay-per-view, which is Jay Lethal, Matt Bentley, Alex Shelley, and P.D. Williams, there is actually, Mike Tenay actually kind of talks about that. It's like, there's been a real log jam at the top of the X Division with Styles Daniels Joe. These guys really can't get past that.
Yeah, like, I mean, it's true, and, like, no one else in the X Division right now feels on that level either. I guess, like, your closest would be, like, Sabin.
Yeah, I was going to say, so much so that, like, your tag challengers of the month are Sabin and Sanjay. They have to move over to the tag division to get something to do.
Yeah, which, honestly, it's probably better.
But yeah, and, like, it's not like they're telling a story with Styles Daniels Joe, so I'm fine with them being on top of the X Division, but you are right that there's not a lot going on underneath them at the moment. There's a lot of guys just kind of hovering about with not a lot to do.
And just no one else feels on their level either. That's, like, the other problem is, like, again, like, Sabin's probably the next guy up, and he feels like a significant step down from those three.
It is, like, a weird con of the fact that, like, they have elevated the X title to the point that, like, the 3 guys wrestling for it feel like meaningful stars in the company, as opposed to, like, the Michael Shane days. But then the downside of that is when you get past those 3 guys, there is, like, this gulf until you get to, as you said, like, Chris Sabin, Alex Shelley, I guess, as, like, the next tier of guys who are lower mid-card guys. They're nowhere near Styles Daniels Joe.
Yeah.
So first Impact of the month, franchise has AJ. Styles mentions that he's wrestling a Samoa Joe against all odds for the X Division title, but he also has Shannon Moore in a street fight tonight. If you remember, the finish of Final Resolution was Joe was wailing on Daniels' concussed skull so much that AJ threw in the towel. So Daniels walks in, he's like, "Don't you find it very convenient that you threw in the towel for me at the pay-per-view, and then suddenly you're number 1 contender? Isn't that funny? Don't you find that funny, AJ?"
AJ's like, "Come on, man, if you already would have died, we'll think about your family,
You
man.
have no brain.
You have no brain,
Brain
man."
gone.
And then Daniels is like,
Daniels is suspicious of AJ's motives.
I like this because, like, they're both faces, but they both still kind of have points.
Yeah, they're both right. Like, AJ is right in that he was getting murdered and he would have died. And Daniels is right in that, like, he's, like, the never say die babyface who's like, it wasn't your right to quit on my behalf. You did not have that right. And I like, Daniels is obviously a little bit in denial as a character. He's like, I could have still come back and win. I wasn't out.
But, like, he doesn't come across, like, heelish in that. Like, he doesn't feel whiny, which is, like, it's a hard balance to strike.
It feels like a nuanced story, which thumbs up.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it does lead us to a Shannon Moore AJ Styles street fight on this show.
Yeah.
The highlight of which is the match graphic says Styles versus Punk.
Which is, good for meme content.
For the Prince of Punk, if you're wondering. But yeah, it's like street fight, Styles versus Punk. It's like, whoa, that's a big man.
Well, we're watching a Ring of Honor show?
Daniels is on commentary. He's talking with Mike Tenay and Don West, who, like, as the babyface announcers, they're like, AJ was right to do what he did, and Daniels is like, it wasn't his decision to make. Moore brainbusters AJ on the apron. AJ does a little dive out of the stands. It's not very impressive. Moore looks to Pillmanize the knee with a chair, but Styles just lifts his foot up, so Moore just jumps on the top of the chair and hurts himself. Joe watches on from the ramp. Daniels jumps on the apron to throw in a towel when AJ's in a submission. AJ's like, what the hell, man? The ref doesn't stop the match, but the distraction does allow Moore to roll up AJ for the win. So Shannon Moore scores a victory over AJ Styles. Even if it is to advance the story with Daniels, with the towel, like him feigning to throw the towel in to distract AJ. But Shannon Moore pins AJ Styles. And, like, AJ is a protected act in this company. Not a lot of people beat AJ.
I don't have, like, a major problem with it. I don't love it, but also I just, like, I'm like, it's telling us a story, you know? It's not just, like, AJ randomly losing on TV. There's a reason behind it, but, like, I don't know. I am fine with it. If not, maybe it's just a lack of dislike more than I like it, you know?
I think it's more a problem with just Shannon Moore. I just hate Shannon Moore.
Well, yeah, Shannon Moore's annoying. So.
It goes to what we were just talking about. Like, could you not have stuck Alex Shelley there, or Petey Williams there, or like one of the guys who might benefit from actually beating AJ, as opposed to this non-contracted guy who's going to be gone in a month? And it doesn't help that he's literally gone in a month. But yeah, the story is that Daniels is looking to turn the towel and be like, see how it feels.
Which does kind of make him like a heelish dick.
There was a lot of backstage heat, not just with me. There has been a lot of heat among wrestlers over Shannon Moore's push, with the feeling that he did nothing to warrant a push, let alone pinning AJ Styles, albeit with a Christopher Daniels distraction. The heat got worse because everyone in the locker room believes the reason Moore got a big push without first proving himself was due to Jarrett, and that Moore's girlfriend is the well-known wrestling seamstress and former Drew, I assume that's still her name, Julie I suppose she might have mattered.
No, because she was married to Droz.
Okay, yes, and former Julie Droz. Okay, that makes more sense. Who makes Jeff's wrestling outfits? So like, people think Shannon Moore is getting pushed because his wife makes Jeff's gear.
Which he may as well be.
He might well be, you're not wrong. January 28th Impact, there was a feature on Styles, Daniels, Joe, now officially announcing that it will be a 3-way at the pay-per-view rather than Styles and Joe. Daniels has wormed his way into the match via shenanigan.
Via pissing AJ off, I guess.
There's a backstage segment that sets it up, but Matt Bentley is asking for opportunities, and Jerry Lynn is like, you get an opportunity right now. You didn't look at the board. You have a great opportunity. You have a match up next. And then Matt Bentley is like, hell yeah, what's my opportunity? He goes out to the ring. Samoa Joe's music hits. He's wrestling Samoa Joe.
It's a good bit.
He's like, finally getting my opportunity. And listen, he should be happy. He's wrestling the X-Champ.
Yeah, if he wins, he could get added to that 3-way.
Yeah, so Generation Next were also moaning, and Jerry Lynn is like, I'm sick of all you moaning.
And they're like, give us something, please.
Mike TNA and Don West debate whether or not it's the Bentley bounce or the Tracy bounce.
Well, that's not alliterative.
It's also like, it's meant to be a bit that it's like, you're meant to be like, oh, it's the Bentley bounce. Well, obviously it's actually Tracy. But they're like, but it's Tracy. It's like, you're ruining the bit.
You're explaining the bit.
Bentley more or less gets squashed. Dave Hebner's watching on from the crowd. Jerry Lynn and Generation Next are also watching on. Good finish where at one point Matt Bentley went for like a wheelbarrow into, I think it was an arm drag. And he went for it again, and Joe just transitioned it into the cookie in a clutch and choked him out to beat him. So that was a good little finish. Match was nothing special.
Indubitably.
February 4th, Impact. AJ Styles faces Jay Lethal.
Fun little combo to see.
Joe watching on from the ramp, which is his favorite thing. He has a new towel as well as his bloody one. So he's like, ooh, more blood?
He's like, more blood for the blood god. Who do I go after next to satiate my vicious intentions?
He just needs blood all the time. Nice little match. AJ takes a wild bump off a leg lariat because he's just a strange, crazy man who flips inside out on leg lariats. But double underhook into the Styles Clash, which I always appreciated. Like, the Styles Clash is the kind of move that on paper should be really rigid. Like, there shouldn't be, like, it should have like a single setup that you have to get into that makes it like kind of awkward as a finish. But AJ, because he's like super creative, finds like 7 different ways to get guys the Styles Clashes that feel like somewhat organic and makes the move make sense.
Which is like hard for such a complicated move.
It should be a move that like you can only get into one way.
I mean, it's like it's not the RKO, you know? Like, yeah, it's not just something you can do.
Whereas here he's like double underhook, catch him, Styles Clash. It's like, yeah, you're a good wrestler, well done. And
congrats.
Stares down Samoa Joe as they continue building to their X Division title match. They show a package on the show of TNA Down Under. They're in Australia.
Down Under. At WSW, which still runs to this day and still has TNA people.
Yeah, because they ran some shows in like 2005 and then disappeared for like 15 years and then came back and still have a bunch of TNA people on their shows. So yeah, the Styles and Daniels, you think they did wrestle each other a bunch on the tour, but also on one of the shows there was a mixed tag where Daniels teamed with Nydia and Styles teamed with Gail Kim.
Awesome.
The dream mixed tag match that you would go to a show for.
WSW is wild.
It's
a wild movie.
Very funny company. I appreciate it for what it is. You were doing like a live watch along of it on one of our episodes, like a few episodes back.
Oh yeah, that was when like QTV woman just showed up, and I was like, she wrestles.
She's in like a team with Saraya now, isn't she? She's doing a thing.
Yeah, she's like a crazy girl, and she has knives. They did the like. You call that a knife? No, that's a spoon.
That's a Simpsons joke. I get it.
They did the Simpsons joke on Rampage.
I see you played Knifey Spoon before. Styles and Daniels sniped at each other backstage before they needed to be separated because they're very mad at each other.
They sniped at each other, which is only possible if the Earth is completely flat because the curvature of...
Go home show. Samoa Joe faces in a 3-way match Jay Lethal and Chase and Rance.
Yeah. You take.
The highlight of the match is Samoa Joe slapping the shit out of Jason Rance.
It's like, why is he in this?
He's just a Florida indie guy who needs to lose.
But like, Jay Lethal's there.
If anything, there is a little bit of respect for Lethal that they probably were like, we can't just beat Lethal again, so we'll throw somebody else in there to take the pin.
Yeah, but you could have like shown the story of like it goes longer because Lethal is more experienced now. Could have told.
Lethal wins the 4-way on the pay-per-view, so clearly they're like...
Yeah, but I'm still saying that story still can end with that.
Either way, Joe kills him.
You don't lose anything by losing to Joe.
I don't know. He should beat Joe right here.
That'd be awesome.
And Joe's winning streak, Jay Lethal make a push.
Well, that would certainly get someone else through the logjam.
Only because he wrestled Jeff Jarrett as well. Like, that's the only thing that would have gotten it. Not being good or...
And he starts making Jeff's gear.
It's the shortcut to success in the business. Pay-per-view. Styles, Daniels, Joe 2 for the X Division title.
It's not as good, is it?
It's not. It's like, listen, it's still very good. It's still a Styles Daniels Joe match. It's not like best match ever level, and it does have to live up to best match ever level, which is what people considered the first match, as Dave calls the 9/11 match. God damn it, Dave. But it's very good. It's a very good match. It's like, if it was the first match in their series, you'd be like, hell yeah, I'd like to see more. But the fact that it's the second and not as good as the first does take like the wind out of the sails of this one a little bit. But it's very good.
Yeah, I'm not going to say no to it. Although, I would enjoy seeing someone else in this sort of scene with these people at some
You
point.
will have one more month of it, but then Styles and Daniels are out of the X Division, so...
Always good for the X Division.
Into the tag division. But yeah, like, there's a lot more people landing on their heads in this match, if you're into that.
I am into that.
Because there's a moment where Styles does a discus lariat into, like, while Joe has a back suplex as, like, almost a tag team move, and Daniels just lands right in his fucking goddamn head. Like, right in his head.
Yeah.
Daniels does a DVD on Joe where Joe more or less lands right in his head as well. So, fun stuff. There is also, like, a front suplex at the start of this match that just made me fucking cackle. Like, Joe lifts him up and slams AJ face first, and then just spends, like, 15 seconds just looking at AJ afterwards. It's like, you are the best wrestler that has ever existed. There's never been a better wrestler than you.
There's a weird moment of admiration in the middle of the ring from a fellow worker.
So happy with his handiwork of mauling AJ. So I'm just gonna look at it for a little bit.
Which is a good bit.
Yeah, and AJ of course takes every move like he's dying. So Joe wipes out both with an elbow suicida. There is a bunch of fun stuff where they are doing like plays on spots from the first match. So like where the first match had the monkey flip in the corner where Daniels monkey flipped Styles into a Rana on Joe, but Joe countered it this time. So like there's a lot of that stuff where there's match to match storytelling. So it's not just like them trying to replay the hits.
Yeah, because they're all a bunch of indie geeks.
Yeah, so they're doing variations on the theme. Daniels did sprain his neck in this match apparently, which I can't imagine what moment did that.
Yeah, I wonder if what point in which his neck was injured.
Joe beats AJ with the Muscle Buster, so Joe is still your X Division champion. As I said, like it doesn't live in the pantheon of like the two like truly great Styles Daniels Joe matches, which are Unbreakable 2005 and Turning Point 2009. Though actually, if you've never seen the Hardcore War 2006 house show match, that match is also kind of awesome. But these two pay-per-view matches, we'll get an Ultimate X between the three next month. The spoilers, but they don't quite hit the heights of the other matches do.
At least Ultimate X isn't just doing the same thing.
And listen, like I gave it 3.75, you gave it 4. So like we're talking as if it's like it's a 2.25 star match. It's still a very good wrestling match.
No, it's still awesome. But like the X Division stuff is held to a high standard at this point.